Hello, everybody. This is Kruze, Professor Emeritus from University of San Francisco. And we have been away from this programming for a while, but we're resuming this in 2024. So I want to welcome everybody to this program on sharing things on US-China relations. So I'm happy to also see Yulin next to me. And today we'll talk primarily about East China Normal University and the University of San Francisco. This session will be in English, but we'll also do a subsequent one in Chinese. So Yulin, welcome and Happy New Year to you, the year of the dragon coming up on February 10th.
Happy New Year, Professor. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome back to the YUS show. This show we started, 2 years ago, and it's really about friendship. Friendship about people and the friendship about countries, different cultures. So this is a great place for us to renew the friendship. And then what's amazing about Professor Kruze is that he led a group of students to East China Normal University 10 years after he initially visited China in 1972, invited by Premier Zhou Enlai. And today we have this great opportunity to hear this really, really rare story of Professor Kruze leading group of students to visit ECNU in 1982. Professor Kruze, here you go.
All right, good. Well, I will do a share screen, and we'll start with the major topic here. Of course, I've taught at University of San Francisco for about 45 years, but one of the highlights of my career was to lead a group of USF students to East China Normal University in the summer of 1982. And the subtopic is really about the development of educational exchanges between the United States and China in the early 1980s. This was kind of a golden era where both sides really wanted to learn more about each other, to promote friendship, to promote understanding and things of this sort. So I was very pleased and honored to really be a part of it. The person who is probably most responsible for the opening of this opportunity was Deng Xiaoping, because before, from 1949 to 1978, there were very few people-to-people opportunities between the US and China. It was a Cold War environment. President Nixon and Chairman Mao broke the ice in 1972, but it was not until really December of 1978 when the possibilities became real of meaningful exchanges. And that was for two reasons. Number one, the United States government formally recognized the People's Republic of China as the sole legitimate government of China, and that Taiwan was part of China. This was important, the recognition of that legitimacy. And for China, it was also very important for Deng Xiaoping to begin a new series of reforms, part of which were the open door policy, where foreigners would be invited to come and see China, but also Chinese were encouraged to go and see the rest of the world, to learn from the world and have the world learn from China. Now, where does University of San Francisco come in? Our leadership, we had two top leaders, two vice presidents, who were instrumental in kind of getting the ball rolling in 1979. In 1979, the USF leaders donated 70,000 books, also other educational materials and various things affiliated with libraries, to China. Now, the Chinese Ministry of Education was very happy, and so they reciprocated, and they made kind of like an arranged marriage. They married East China Normal University to the University of San Francisco as sister universities. And so this gave both places opportunities to develop their friendship and mutual relationship. So for USF, we could send students to China, to East China Normal University in Shanghai, beginning in 1980. And USF also welcomed professors from ECNU, from East China Normal University. The great advantage for ECNU was that USF would pay for their various expenses incurred in San Francisco, which was a big deal because ECNU didn't really have a lot of money, and so they didn't have to pay any hard currency for this kind of arrangement. So they sent 5 people, and this was one of the first delegations led by President Sherping of ECNU to USF. This was one of the first banquets in December of 1981. Here he is hosted by Dean Harnett and various other people affiliated with the university. So this was a nice banquet, and so I had a chance to meet with President Sherping. Now, along with the president came 5 scholars, mostly people who were teachers of English, so they were going to improve their English skills here in San Francisco, but also a professor of chemistry and a professor of computer science. And they were involved with learning more about their discipline and exchanging ideas with their own peers in various departments. So this is one of the banquets for the 5 visiting professors. And the dean, the provost, the vice president for educational affairs, Provost Angelello, is over here on the far right. I had the opportunity of leading a group of, well, not many, 3 students. 2 of them are here. We advertised in a brochure through various means, and so people applied to come along. And this was our first step on China as we deplaned in Shanghai. This is Jody on the left. I think she was a student of law, and Emmy on the right, who was a student of communication skills, communication arts. This is in the summer of '82, and this is me in my coat and tie, ready for summer heat in my light blue. This is Jody presenting her passport to the passport control for inspection, and with our 2 other students behind. And here I'm being welcomed by the vice president of East China Normal University. So we all spoke in Chinese, and so he was very happy to hear my Chinese, and people around were happy to hear it too. Now, East China Normal University was a very special place. It was a key point university at that time. It was chosen by the Ministry of Education to get special funding and to develop good ties with foreign countries. So they also welcomed students from other countries and other universities from the United States. So they had groups from Columbia University, they had groups from Vassar University, they also had students from Germany, and they also had students from Japan. And they all shared the foreign students dormitory at ECNU. The chairman was still very much alive and well in this huge statue that was right in the center of ECNU. Couldn't miss him. When you walk down the main street, he was always there, reminding us to move forward, 向前进, as the Chinese would say. So there was a lot of respect. Of course, it was summertime, and so there were a lot of classes that were held outside. So students were holding classes. And this is me 40 years ago in the main entryway to the foreign students dormitory. We were organized to visit many different places. Some were very close by in Hangzhou and Suzhou and places like that. Others were right there in Shanghai itself. So this is me. Most of my dealings were with the Foreign Affairs Department, the Waisherban. And so he would make various kinds of connections. I also had good connections with faculty at ECNU. I made requests to see people in the history department, also in the Marxism-Leninism department, and also the chemistry department, and so on. So this is a professor from the Marxism-Leninism Institute at ECNU. So we met and we exchanged good views, and we developed a good friendly relationship during those 6 weeks that we were there. this was a professor from chemistry who had been at USF at the University of San Francisco. So she was an old friend. And so she invited me to her home for dinner to meet her husband and her son. So they were looking very official in this official photograph. The last part of my presentation really is about the visits that we made. I will only show you slides of the visit to the prison, but we made visits to many other places. Nanjing Road to see what the business community, not business community, but the commercial activities were like. We visited the Bund and the old buildings that were built in the 1920s and 1930s and so on. We saw artistic performances, we saw opera, we saw acrobats, and many other kinds of activities, I think, puppet shows and things like that. So we had many cultural activities in the evenings. But one of the most important ones, very unusual, was that we were invited to visit a prison. This was a full day event. And so we had a bus full, 2 buses, I think, of students from everywhere. And so we went to the main prison, the Shanghai's main prison. And I think the main idea behind this was to show that China was trying to very much establish a rule of law, which had been forgotten during the Cultural Revolution, and to show the consequences for lawbreakers. During the Cultural Revolution, many people were tortured and put into stockades and dealt with very badly. And so they wanted to show the prison to show the kind of new standards that were being developed for people who had committed crimes and committed offenses. So these are pictures of the prison, the main prison in Shanghai, in the summer of 1960. You can see the building, this is a real prison. There are real bars on the windows and everything like that. One of my biggest surprises was that the warden was a woman, and she was very much in charge. She gave us a presentation of about 30-40 minutes initially, and then she took our delegation around. The young lady, a very tall young lady, she's from Vassar, and she was, we were walking along. This is a guard who was there. There were many blackboards encouraging people to correct their ways, a very educational kind of effort to get people to change their ways, and also an effort to teach skills, practical skills, such as sewing. These were women prisoners who were learning and doing sewing in this prison workshop, and also young men who were doing various kinds of jobs. Maybe this particular group was doing watches. They were doing watch production. This was the infirmary, very simple, nothing very fancy, but in case you got sick or you had some problems, you would be there. This was the library, again, not very extensive, but it was there. This was lunch at the Shanghai prison, a lot of mantou and little buns and little nibbles. These are the actual cell blocks we came through, where the prisoners were actually housed, where they had their bedrooms and where they stayed. And this is what the prison looked like from inside. Yeah, it was a real prison. No fooling. The end was after 6 weeks. The various groups, we all wanted to show our appreciation for our hosts at ECNU, East China Normal University. So we organized a farewell banquet for ECNU leaders and the faculty and so on. So we tried to sing songs in Chinese, and so the students were trying very hard. So I think that's why they were smiling so hard, because they were forgetting the words, but they were singing and swaying back and forth and linking arms. So we wanted to show our solidarity as students and thanking them for the wonderful experience of spending 6 weeks in 6 weeks in Shanghai in the summer of 1982. So it was a wonderful experience, and I still want to thank ECNU for hosting us as well and treating us foreigners as well as they did. They didn't really quite know sometimes what to expect, but we managed to learn a lot of Chinese, and we learned a lot about Shanghai, and we learned a lot about the Chinese people and their life, and particularly the new policies of Deng Xiaoping, the open door, the changes in education, even the changes in the prison system and in the legal system. So that's me. I'm Yildiz Kruze. I'm a professor emeritus at USF right now, and I still live in the Bay Area here in San Francisco. So goodbye from me.
Wow, amazing, amazing. This is the first time for me to get to learn that actually ECNU and USF, they were sister universities. Wow. Thank you so much, Professor Cruz, for sharing such very, very precious photos because I wouldn't know at all. Well, thank you so much. They're so precious. And I'm glad to let you know that I'm currently teaching at the ECNU. I was offered the opportunity to share a creativity development. So I'm going to go to ECNU campus this May, mid-May, to teach a class, Management Creativity Development. Perhaps, in few years, when it's 50th anniversary of your first trip, somehow we still have several years to plan. We can get USF and the ECAU somehow do some joint program. That would be really fun.
It would be fabulous. It would be fabulous. Anyway, it was a good experience more than 40 years ago, and so finding and locating all these photographs brought back many memories. So I want to thank you too for inviting me onto the Yulin show, and so it was thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you all the best in May when you return to ECNU to Huadong
Well, thank you so much. We should keep these good thoughts going, and then make it happen in few years when it's 50 years, and then we'll try to see what we can do to get ECAU and the USF back again. I don't know what happened afterwards about the sister, so maybe we can follow up and then see what's going on. And then if those professors and students are still on ECAU campus, that would be wonderful to unite.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I want to wish everybody a very happy new year coming up on February 10th, the year of the dragon. So it's goodbye for me.
Best wishes.